In this video, we're gonna be going over the essential pieces of equipment that you need to throw javelin. Do you want to take your training to the next level? Download the Jacked Javelin mobile app, where you have access to dozens of free resources that cover topics such as nutrition, arm care, mobility, plyometrics, and most importantly, javelin technique. We also have our free community, which connects thousands of throwers from all around the world to communicate and help each other out. You will also have the option to purchase one of our training programs written directly by me with video demonstrations of each exercise telling you exactly how many sets and reps to do, as well as the option to track your metrics so you can keep track of your progress. See you on the inside. So here we're going to be starting with the javelin and how to help you choose which one is best for you. Number one is that when you're picking a javelin, the meter rating is going to be very essential for you. So for example, right here, I have a 50 meter jav, then a 60 meter jav right here, and then a 70 meter jav right here. My rule of thumb is whatever you're throwing, you should be throwing a javelin that is about 10 meters above where you're currently at. That way, you're helping yourself be able to have a little bit of wiggle room to improve, but you're not throwing something that's too advanced for you. Because if you were a 40 meter thrower and you're throwing a 70 meter javelin, this javelin is built to be able to turn over at about 60 to 70 meters. So what happens is if you're throwing 40 meters, you may not be putting enough force into this javelin to get it to turn over and stick in the ground. It might land flat or it might go through the handle and not fly in an aerodynamic fashion like we want it to. The other side of that as well is if you're throwing a javelin that is a lot higher rated for you than what you're at, so 40 meters throwing a 70 meter javelin, then that is putting a lot more stress on your elbow and shoulder because these javelins are made to be a lot stiffer so that more mobile and stronger athletes and athletes with better technique are able to put more force into them and have them go further. Because the stiffer the javelin and the less wobble it has, the more aerodynamic it will be. So that will help you to a point as you start to progress. But if you're young and you're putting not a lot of force into it and it's not bending at all, then it's not going to fly the proper way. If you're a 70 or 80 meter thrower and you're throwing a 50 meter javelin, it's going to wobble too much, and then it takes away the aerodynamics and cutting through the wind in a linear fashion. So by having too much wobble, it'll start to die out in the air and then turn over prematurely. And then you might be looking at, all right, what's better? Aluminum, steel, carbon fiber, blunt tip, spear tip. So if you're throwing below 60 meters, I would say that that stuff doesn't really matter that much. If you have a couple of javelins to choose from and they're all within your meter rating, just feel which one works best for you. But for the most part, those more intricate details are gonna matter more when you're throwing above 200 feet or 60 meters. So when you're young, just focus more on making sure that you're throwing a javelin that's fit for you in terms of meter rating and learning the proper technique and mobility so that you can progress through the sport and not get hurt. All right, and then next we have plyo balls, okay? So I have my Jacked Javelin Plyo Balls here. So we have the 2 kilogram ball all the way down to the 400 gram ball. What I wanted to do when I made these was have something that was able to establish underweight and overweight implements and have this be a nice soft feel going into the wall or throwing on a football field, whether you wanted to do it for distance or for power. Either one was going to be fine. One of the main reasons we use these heavier balls is to work on reverse throws. So we're able to protect our shoulder because a lot of times what happens is people will throw forwards all the time and never do enough reverse throws. And that's what's going to hurt the shoulder because eventually you'll do too much anterior movement and not enough posterior movement. So we do a ton of reverse throws with the overweight plyo balls. And then with the underweight and then medium weight, what we'll do is we'll do a ton of drills working on keeping the arms super relaxed, getting a longer pull, and just overall developing a better arm path. When you're a young kid and you're throwing an 8-foot long spear, you could be really overthinking how to throw it the proper way and you worry about how far it's going and trying to throw through the point. So a lot of times your arm path might be not that clean. But if you're throwing a ball at the wall, you're able to get a ton of reps in a very short amount of time. And you're able to just find what feels really comfortable and natural for you. And without throwing a weight that's like a baseball or something that's shaped like a football. And you're able to use an 800 gram plyo ball that's the same weight as the javelin and just get a ton of reps in and find the arm path that works for you. Next, we have footwear, okay? So with spikes, there's a couple different brands that you can choose from. My preferred choice is Nike, just because they're very durable and they last you a very long time. So for me, like, these are white and they are in pretty good condition still, and they're about 3 years old. You really could get like definitely 2 seasons out of these. And if you're someone like me that pretty much just uses these when I will coach and do some practice demonstrations or some YouTube videos, they'll last you even longer. You should be using 5/8 inch spikes, which is best for the javelin runway. You don't want to go with the 1/4 inch ones because those are too short. You'll slide on the runway. And then anything longer than that is going to be illegal and tear up the track. If you're on grass, you can get longer ones, but definitely make sure if you switch to a synthetic track runway that you switch them out for 5/8 inch. The main thing with Nike is that they are a little bit more heavy and durable. Like if you see here on the toe, this kind of resembles a little bit of a steel toe boot. So they are very heavy. So if you're an athlete that is a power-based athlete that struggles down the runway, you're not going to have the best footwork most likely. So you may want to look at an option like Saucony or Asics or something that's a little bit more flexible and malleable that'll help you be a little bit bouncier down the runway. But if you're really athletic and you have really good footwork like me, then you're able to get down the runway really smooth no matter what shoe you're wearing. Your shoe should help you, right? It shouldn't restrict you. And if a shoe like this is restricting you, then that's probably more of a resemblance on your athletic capabilities and your lack of training. If you are lacking in the footwork department, you're addressing your ability to run, jump, and your overall body composition to help you become a better athlete. Next up is a medicine ball. Medicine balls are great for establishing upper body elasticity and lower body power. So big thing with the javelin is we want to have a very stable block position in the throw and work on our hips getting involved into the block before the throw happens. We want to also work on having a very elastic chest. So our elbow and shoulder, they aren't taking the force of the javelin. Our chest and our lats, those bigger muscles, are taking more of the force and the impact that the javelin puts on the body. So doing a ton of power movements with the medicine ball is going to help build our elasticity in the chest. So we want to work on that chain reaction with the feet getting out in front of us, our hips behind, our chest behind the hips, and then our hands behind the chest. That way we're working in sync with our lower body and core and chest, activating and feeling that pull on the med ball. It also helps to have something very heavy because a lot of times you might not feel that pull when you're using a lighter implement like a javelin or a plyo ball. With a bouncy med ball, you could also get very close to the wall and get a lot of dribbles in to work on your external rotation and overall elasticity in the chest. You could also use the medicine ball to work on javelin specific movements, adding in a little bit of movement and steps and rhythm and practicing your penultimate to work on that lower body power, having a chain reaction into the upper body, not necessarily worrying about the flight of the javelin and how far it's going. You're able to just focus on the lower body doing the work and the upper body coming through as a chain reaction. Next is a resistance band. Resistance bands are great for not only performing resistance exercises like band pull-aparts or banded bicep curls as a form of arm care, but also using them as a banded pec stretch so that we're stretching out our chest, stretching out our shoulders like this. We could also hook this up to a fence and work on that corkscrew drill position to work on keeping our arm very long behind us and rotating the hips and the left side forward while we keep our arm back nice and long. So this is very versatile right here. Like I said, you could use it for arm care, use it for mobility, and use it as a javelin specific drill as well. Thanks for tuning into this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and be sure to like and subscribe and follow along for more.